All right, we're back after a nice little hiatus because some asshole had to go and get sick. I'm not saying any names, but things happen. So luckily he's okay. I mean, whoever that is. um, so I guess let's just jump right into it. Unfortunately, we have a lot of heavy topics today, so strap in, put your seatbelt on. Supposed to be a comedy podcast, but what can you do these days? There's just so much shit to deal with. Um, so let's talk
No, we try to
about.
keep it light.
Well, I mean, you can try, but if the content is what it is, like we're gonna start off with fucking wildfires that are just causing tons of damage and destroying people's houses and lives, and to the point where apparently you can now see the smoke on the East Coast. It, if this is true, I saw some story. I didn't really read the story. I saw the headline, but if this is true, holy shit, that's a fire. That is a motherfucking fire. If you could see smoke from that fire all those thousands of miles away, I mean, that's fucking unbelievable. So I know, um, I know our wonderful president has um, some thoughts and explanations on how we can avoid these things, and none of them has to do with global warming or anything like that. Getting unprecedented storms and things that we haven't seen in our lifetimes, but there's no climate change. Nah, can't be that. It's got to be some assholes just not doing their jobs right. But I don't know. You tell me. What's your take on this stuff?
So, I guess I was actually watching or like reading an article about the president actually going to like view the damage, and I mean, whole fucking cities are burning out west. I mean, whole fucking towns are burning to the ground. I mean, they're seeing it looks like sunset all day long with red skies because of the fires. But yeah, so he had this press conference and he kind of like shifted the blame to the states and said that their poor management of forestation had was the cause for these fires. And for me, I was just like, are you fucking stupid? Like 90% of the fucking forests are regulated by the federal government. That's your job, bro. Like you can't blame the states. Like that's the federal government's job. So you can't say that because they've done poorly with forestation that that's the cause for this shit. Another thing is like here on the west coast, they actually just recorded two of the hottest days ever, like ever on record. I think it was they said at one point like one of the cities like recorded a temperature of 121,
Wow.
and that's not like a heat factor. That's not a heat index. That's a like straight up fucking temp.
Wow. We're turning into Mars or Venus. Yeah,
Venus.
Venus. Venus makes more sense. Mars is colder. um, by the way, speaking of Venus, since we're both believers of, and I know I'm going way off topic, but it's just popped into my head because I read it the other day. Uh, they think they've actually discovered some kind of uh, shit. I don't want to say this the wrong way. Some type of bacteria, or which shows that there's life in the clouds of Venus. Um, which I don't know how the fuck you
Yeah,
do
actually,
that through with these
yeah, I actually
telescopes.
read the so I actually read the article, and what they're saying is that they found a trace of I want to say it's a chemical that's released. It's a byproduct of bacteria, so it's kind of like their waste. So they believe that it proves that there's life in the form of microbes on Venus.
Well, it's interesting nonetheless. It just goes to show that, like we suspect, there's life somewhere else. But anyways, getting back to the wildfires. So his core argument seems to be that they're not raking the leaves.
Yeah, I mean, essentially that they're not managing deforestation, and that with due to the unprecedented heat, that it's causing fires. But
Now, now, if I'm not mistaken, I read that one of the fires was started by some assholes doing a gender reveal party, and they lit off their little bomb or whatever that was supposed to sprinkle the pink dust or blue dust or whatever the fuck it was, and that's what caused one of the wildfires to start. So, and those people are going to get big fines. Like they're going to be paying for the rest of their lives for these fines. Um, and I don't even want to get into gender reveal parties because that's a whole nother topic. But and by the way, the person who supposedly created it is now saying to stop it, that nobody cares about your gender reveal party after she did it and started the whole fucking thing. So fuck you. Like you started the shit. Now you're gonna tell people to cut the shit? Fuck off. What the fuck? You don't get a pass. You started the stupid shit. Oh, what? You're more mature now, and you feel better about yourself. So now you can tell people, hey, nobody gives a fuck about your gender reveal. Yeah, nobody gave a fuck about yours, you stupid idiot. Like even the people who had to attend it were like, I guess, whatever. But that's besides the point. So apparently that's what started one of them. And it wasn't because a bunch of Mexicans that were deported, because those are some of the only people who want to do some of these jobs, like actually picking up the leaves and shit. The jobs that supposedly are being taken away from Americans. Some of the jobs that are supposedly being taken away from Americans that usually don't get filled by Americans. But that's another. I'm going all over the place today. I'm like fucking. It's been so long. I'm in every direction possible. I'm zigging and zagging. I'm spin moving. I'm stiff arming. I'm everywhere today. I'm everywhere. So let's get back to the wildfires. I don't know. I understand there's deniers about climate change and stuff like that, but just this complete lack of just this complete disregard for science is so dangerous, and it's I mean the biggest example has killed almost 200,000 people, but we're talking about wildfires. So when you have, I think there's been more hurricanes so far this season than like ever before, to the point where how they name them from A to Z. They're already like way deep into the alphabet, and they probably are gonna they're probably gonna run out and have to start naming them like Hurricane fucking X, like Malcolm X's long lost brother. Like it's getting to that point.
They're gonna be like Elon Musk and like his kid's name.
I mean, they're just gonna start giving them like numbers or I don't know, but that's where we are. So seeing these unprecedented floods in our lifetime, seeing these unprecedented wildfires in our lifetime, seeing all these storms, these mega storms and shit like that. What the hell was that thing that happened in, I think it was the Midwest or something? It had one of those weird names, like the weather people love to come up with these weird names. God damn it, I can't remember what it was, but like all these fucking things never happened before. Like growing up, there was no El Nino. There was none of this bullshit. There was no polar vortex and all of this garbage. Like, it's not a coincidence. It's fucking science. Wake the fuck up. What the fuck are we doing?
And then you look at like the reports now that in Greenland, like the ice shelves are starting to fall off and like fall in. And I don't know if people understand how this shit works, man. Like, it's like having a glass of water and dropping a couple ice cubes in it. Like, the level of the water rises. If you live near the water, you might be saying bye-bye to your house.
Well, fuck. I mean, the people of Louisiana have experienced it more than once. Like, Jesus Christ. Oh, and me, like an idiot, I moved south. I should have fucking moved north or moved more inland. Like, what the fuck am I doing? Jesus, I'm a fucking more. Well, I'll be gone by then. I'll just tell my kids, hey, move north, move central, get the fuck away from the water. But since we're talking about politics, this is so much happened in the past couple of weeks. The president is leering. He's on a standing 8 count because of these things, and I'll give him credit. He handles it well. Like, as much of this shit that comes out, these assholes just eat up everything he tells them with. They don't even use a fork and a knife and a spoon. They grab it. They grab handfuls. Like in that episode of The Office when Will Ferrell was in there and he was grabbing the fucking the corners of the cake. That's what these motherfuckers do. These Trump supporters. They don't just have a slice and eat it like a civilized person. They go fucking hands deep, grab a big ass corner and start shoving it down their face. That's how much these cocksuckers eat his stuff. So the fucking guy admits on recordings early on before everybody knew how serious this fucking thing was, how serious it was. Talks about how it goes through the air, this and that, blah, blah, blah. It's deadly. It's more deadly than the flu. Says everything that everybody has said since then that he's tried to downplay.
Admitted that he was downplaying it.
Yes. And these assholes line up and almost trample each other to get to his fucking rallies. His indoor rallies. You know how serious this is. You admitted it. And you're still having these fucking rallies. What planet am I on? Like, not even what country am I living in? What fucking planet am I on where we have people this fucking stupid? I don't give a fuck what side of politics you lean on. We're talking about facts. We're talking about your guy, your own guy, saying how serious this was way back when, before all the deaths, before everybody knew, before everything turned into how serious it turned into. He admitted to knowing about this way back when, and you fucking assholes are still treating it like it's nothing. If you don't deserve to catch COVID and die, I'm not saying I want you to. I'm just saying, hypothetically, if the karma gods want to come down and snatch a few dumb fucks out, I don't think there's anybody more worthy. Can you? I mean, what's your take on all this bullshit? Because this is fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, and for anyone who's not familiar with what's going on, so Woodward.
If you don't know what's going on, you're not paying attention to anything.
All right, so Woodburn from the famous Woodburn and Bernstein duo, famous author, famous writer. Woodward. Basically, like, interviewed Trump and recorded him several times talking about, coronavirus and the pandemic, and he admitted to lying to the American people, downplaying how serious it was, and basically reiterating everything that Fauci and, people have been saying for a long time about the virus. And here we are, like, 200,000 people have died, and it's your fault, man. Like, how can you not be criminally liable for this? Like, you downplayed it.
He didn't want people to panic. He didn't want to spread panic. That's their defense. And nobody, when this defense comes out, nobody says, well, actually one reporter did. They said, well, in Germany, they told the truth and they had much better results. So, and Germany is just one country. There's many other countries that told the truth and people aren't fucking dying the way they are here or catching the virus or whatever. So that defense doesn't
I think
work.
That's insulting to the American. Yeah, I think that's insulting to the American intelligence and to the intellect. And you know what? Even that, I'm sorry, I gotta question that nowadays because everyone's so fucking stupid. Like, what has gone on to common sense and using your brain for something other than a hat holder? Shit.
Well, everything has gotten politicized and everything has taken on that tone, and it's overtaken common sense, because like we always say, it's on both sides. And we talked about it in a podcast, a previous podcast, where these liberals are just so out there. If you don't believe everything that they believe, they don't even want to have anything to do with you. They don't even want to talk to you. They don't even want to have the discussion. And it's dangerous.
They're calling Bernie Sanders like a moderate now.
It's just dangerous. It's fucking dangerous, because how are you ever going to get things done? How is there ever going to be compromise? It like you said, where's the common sense? Like, are we working towards a common goal or not? And I was watching your favorite show, Curb, and and Larry picks up a hooker to be able to use the carpool lane so that he can get to the game on time, the baseball game. And they're negotiating the price. And what he says to her is, it was less than what she wanted, obviously. And he said, come on, it's a compromise, and a good compromise is where both parties don't feel good about it. And like, why can't we get back to that? Why can't we get back to Democrats and Republicans working together, compromising? Yeah, you're not going to get everything you want, but it's a give and take, and it's something that you can live with. Why have we gone so far in opposite directions that so many of us are paying the price for these assholes to just cross their arms and say, no, fuck you, we're not doing that? Like,
yeah, I think that alludes more to my point, and one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight with, politics over people, where these parties have just lost touch of the people that are affected by their lack of ambition or drive to resolve things and to come to a common ground. You look at this, for example, right now, the Congress is back and forth about the stimulus, and, they can't come to an agreement that works for both sides. But it's not because, there's something in this, bill that they can't agree upon. Mostly it's the fact that each side wants to take the credit, and they want to be the party, when it comes poll time, that, either came up with the resolution or stopped, something from happening that was, terrible for the American people. but they're doing nothing. In the meantime, people are being kicked out of their homes. People are going hungry. Like, people are suffering, and it's all politics over, politics and policy over the people that they're supposed to be fighting for.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because I have a bit of a differing opinion on that. Um, I don't think it's about. I don't think it's as much about saying we took care of this for you and we're the best and look at us. If I'm being honest, so the House passed their bill like in May, right?
Mm-hmm.
They gave the Senate plenty of time before Labor Day to come up with a proposal themselves, a counter proposal. The Senate chose not to do it. The Republican-controlled Senate chose not to do it. At the very end, who was negotiating? Was it Mitch McConnell? Or was it Mnuchin and the other asshole from Trump's staff? It was mostly the White House. The Senate didn't give a fuck because they were going to go along with whatever the White House wanted. That's what they were going to do. And real quickly, let me break it down. We're not just talking about extended unemployment benefits. We're not just talking about stimulus checks. We're talking about those PPP loans for businesses to stay afloat. We're talking about money for schools that they want to reopen so that they can deal with the COVID stuff the right way. We're talking about funding for the post office so the election gets handled the right way. We're talking about so much more shit than just somebody getting an extra $400 in their check every week. And yet, what I believe it really comes down to for the White House and for the Republicans is they want to basically give the companies a free pass and not allow lawsuits to be brought up against them. I think that's the sticking point. I think they'd be willing to give up more money for for unemployment. I think everything else they can come to a compromise on, the total, the everything. How much money's going here, how much, everything. What I believe it comes down to is they want these big companies to have immunity from people suing because they got COVID or they died from COVID while working, which is a very slippery slope because, as you know, companies will look the other way when it comes to safety measures in order to meet the bottom line. That's the whole reason unions and stuff were formed to begin with. So if you start giving these guys like a get out of jail free card, do you think that they're not going to do that? Do you think that they're going to follow proper quarantine protocols and things like that if they can't be sued? I mean, it's a pretty important fucking thing.
Yeah.
And so that's what I believe the sticking point is. And like you said, politics over people, because they just want to please all the rich owners of all these rich companies so that they donate more to their campaign or all their campaigns. And who gives a fuck how many people catch COVID and die?
Yeah. I mean, it's rather insane to me. I think like another sticking point for them is, funding for the states, and they're saying that poor mismanagement of money by, blue states is the issue, and
it's ridiculous. It's just wrong. It's wrong. It doesn't matter if they're blue or red. They're Americans. If you sit there and say you're a fucking American, then you care about all Americans, not just red Americans or just blue Americans. You care about Americans, period. So it's fucking ridiculous. It's absolutely. And by the way, I didn't even put this on our list of topics, But I mean, because I'm pretty sure we've pretty much said as much as we need to about this stuff. What about this fucking guy calling soldiers losers and suckers? What the fuck? And yet still, even though this was confirmed by not only the person who wrote the story, this was confirmed by the Associated Press, this was confirmed by somebody from Fox News themselves. And yet these assholes were stomping on each other's dicks to get to the front of Trump's rallies are walking right up to that big old fat Trump cake, and they're just mashing their fucking hands in and grabbing that corner piece and shoving it down their faces. What happened to the Republican Party? You guys were supposed to be the troop guys before everything, and yet you guys don't give
the
a
White House. The White House no longer flies the POW MIA flag.
Well, they do. They just moved it. They moved it to the back or some shit like that. Like, you didn't want amputees there because, and listen, I'm not stupid. I know some of this stuff might have been embellished a little bit. I get it. But does it, even if you're a fake news, one of those fake news guys, fake news, would you really be surprised if he did say these things? Because if you're surprised about that, then you are a delusional asshole with walking around with your fingers in your ears, not listening to anything but what you want to hear. Because he did it already with John McCain, and you assholes gave him a pass. You already gave him a pass. He said he prefers his war heroes that weren't captured. A fucking guy who spent years fighting for his country, spent years captured and tortured. And he says these things about him, and you assholes just, I don't hear anything, and just walk up and grab the big fucking piece of cake. What the fuck? I've never seen such ridiculousness in my life. It's like, as long as I get my big fucking hunk of corner piece of cake, I'm good. Give me my cake, Trump, and I'll believe anything you tell me. Fuck, now I want some fucking cake.
So one of the things that did happen today is so a group of the moderate Democrats presented a new bill today to the House of Representatives, and it's not a skinny bill, but it is a compromise bill that, the moderates are saying, like, look, this is a consensus of Dems and Republicans that are in the middle, who basically, kind of ride that purple line. That are basically saying, like, hey, let's meet in the middle. Let's get this shit done. The American people need it, and that's what we need. That's what we need more of. More purples, less blues, less reds, more purples.
Yeah, let's get some Barneys up in this bitch. I mean, if you only listen to Fox News, and I listen to Fox News, I watch it. I want to hear the other side's opinions because, like we've discussed on this podcast, sometimes the left say some really dumb, stupid shit and are somewhat disingenuous and sometimes flat out lie too. So it's not a one-way street. It happens on both sides. But if you're a dummy who just listens to just like-minded opinion, like you watch some of these political shows, they're all just sucking each other's dicks. They're all just agreeing with each other. And there's like no other point of view to even like just have a healthy debate about things. Like what are we accomplishing? Anyways, let's move on. Go ahead.
So I don't know if you saw. Well, I don't know if you saw this thing this week where Kramer from Mad Money was interviewing Nancy Pelosi and had his little Freudian slip while he was talking to her and called her, crazy Nancy or something along those lines. And then immediately, like, had to apologize
Well, dude,
and, like, make
yeah,
a joke of it because, he basically did the Trump thing and, called her the crazy lady. And, this is Speaker of the House of Representatives, man. Like,
did you see? Did you see the guy who dropped a deuce in her driveway? Some homeless guy or whatever. if you can't laugh at that, you got a big dump in your pants. Like, that's just funny. I if there was I guarantee you if the same people who chastise that, if that same homeless guy dropped a dump in front of Trump's Mar-a-Lago or wherever the fuck he stays when he's not at the White House, they'd laugh their asses off too. It's just funny. But yeah, like in speaking of these Freudian slips, some of these channels have nonstop political ads, and there's a group that supports Trump where they say he has one of those Freudian slips where he says he's going to raise your taxes. He's not going to drop your taxes. He's going to raise them. When you look it up, he said that to a person who was making like over $400,000 a year. Like, he said that to a specific person, and it wasn't a Freudian slip. He meant it. He was saying, you make a lot of money. I am going to raise your taxes. I'm not going to cut them. So, but if you watch the commercial, they make it seem like, oh, sometimes they tell the truth even when they don't mean to. And they go like, they're just blatantly misleading you. And if you're not smart enough to say, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right. Like, my first thought was he must have meant to say it the opposite way and he just slipped up, which is what they wanted you to think. Because they wanted you to think that that's what he was going to do. So they're manipulating you in such ways that what seems like common sense isn't even real. So common sense would tell you, oh, he didn't mean to say that. He meant to say it the opposite way. He just fucked it up. But he meant to say it that way, but they took it out of context. He meant to say it that way to a specific person. And that's how crazy it's getting. That's how fucked up these misleading ads and these just blatant lies are getting for everyone. And I'm not going to sit here and act like the Democrats don't do it too, because they do. But holy shit, like, just take 2 seconds to Google something, and usually you can find most of the truth. You might not find everything, but usually you can find most of the truth. So I don't know if you got any more of this fucking. I honestly, we should abolish Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, all you assholes, all you affiliations, all you motherfuckers. Get rid of all of them. And let's just start voting for whoever you think the best person is. Campaign, convince me, and that's it. Let's go. I don't want political parties. I don't want all this extra bullshit, because then this is what you end up with. You end up with all these assholes who will support a president who is the most corrupt president of all time, and give him a rubber stamp and a green light to do whatever the fuck he wants because they have the power to. I mean, just look at what he's doing with fucking Bill Barr who's supposed to be looking out for the justice of the people, and all he's looking out for is fucking orange balls there. Like, if we just have people in all the Senate, in all the House of Reps, who we vote on based on their platforms, based on their stance on certain things, then the party can't pressure you. The party can't say, I'm going to give you support or I'm not going to give you support or whatever, because there's no fucking parties. Just do it individually. And I'm sure there's probably flaws with that too, but God damn it, it's got to be better than what we're dealing with now. You ever look at some of these bills on the floor and see how partisan the votes are? Nobody even like says, oh shit, yeah, this is kind of a good idea. I'll vote for it, even though it's on the other side who brought it up. They all just vote by party lines. It's fucking unbelievable.
The other thing is, if you look at a lot of these bills, they hide these little pet projects inside the fucking
absolutely.
bills.
Absolutely.
So, you'll have a bill on, funding fucking roadways and building new roads in America, and there's some random fucking dog ear on the bill that says, oh yeah, we're going to put money up for big tobacco. Like, what?
Yep.
What does that have to do with that?
And both parties are equally guilty of that shit. So fuck them both. That's why I say get rid of the parties. Rio Rabo 2024. We already laid it out for you last time. We've got ideas. We've got big fucking ideas. We're already going to save you money on car insurance. We've already come up with, I don't know how many inventions. The Crown Royal ball bag shorts. I mean, what else? What else do you want from us? We're helping you fucks. We're actually doing something for you. We are not Kanye West. We will be on time and not have Twitter meltdowns like somebody we know in office. Anyways, let's talk about these protests. And I want to start here. I didn't put it on our topics list because I just remembered it. You protesters, you assholes who are harassing people who are just having dinner or lunch or whatever in outdoor establishments, who have nothing to do with your protest, who are just trying to live their lives, you protesters can eat a big bag of dicks and catch COVID. These fucking people are not anti-protesting. They're not, just because they won't chant what you want them to chant or whatever reason you guys are fucking with them, they are not the problem. You fucking assholes are directing yourselves to the wrong things. And not only are you making yourselves look like dicks and hurting your cause, but you're actually doing like some criminal shit. So to you assholes who are harassing people for just sitting there eating a meal and who are trying to force your views and opinions and make people like become part of your cult, fuck off. Eat 100 bags of dicks and catch 30,000 cases of COVID. Like, what the fuck are we doing? What does that have to do with Black Lives Matter? What does that have to do with racial equality? How does that even equate? Explain this to me. You're one of these protesters. You're out there with your sign. You're harassing people eating. How does that work? You play devil's advocate here.
Yeah, I mean, I can't advocate for that because it's absolutely fucking ludicrous. Like, what did these people do like, are you mad because they are like trying to have some normalcy in their lives? Like,
Makes no sense. They are helping to show this lawlessness that are in these pro-Trump ads that if we're being honest, if we had a competent president, things wouldn't be as bad as they are. Not just with COVID, but with all this protests and all this unrest. If we had a solid leader who would say, listen, guys, I hear you, but you can't do this shit. This isn't the way to solve things. Let's sit down at the table. Let's talk about this. Let's figure this shit out. If you had somebody like that, Real Robo 2024, because that's what we would do, you would solve way more problems than what's going on now. Than to just say, oh, it's Antifa. Oh, these radicals. Like, and not only that, dude, not for nothing, but a lot of the people doing a lot of this shit aren't even black folks. They're not even the ones who are who the cause is about. They're not even the ones who are suffering these terrible things that the protest is all about. And the funny thing is when you break it down, when people get upset about these protests and all this shit happen, they care more. They care more about the store being burned than they care about the person being shot in the back.
yeah.
How fucked up is that? Like, that's their mentality. Their mentality is, oh, well, there's other ways you could do it, blah, 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 all this bullshit. And we talked about this a long time ago. Yes, there's other ways you can do it. It doesn't work. It doesn't work until you assholes start to understand and accept the fact that this shit is wrong. And that's why these people are so angry. And that leads me to this fucking Rittenhouse kid who gets in a convoy of people, goes to another state to protect a fucking a car dealership or something like that, armed with I don't know if it was a rifle, whatever, armed with a hefty gun, ends up killing a couple people. And you have assholes like Tucker Carlson and Aubrey Huff. Aubrey Huff actually said he's like a hero or some stupid shit like that. This asshole ex-baseball player, he said, he praised him. He said he's a national treasure. A national treasure. This kid was in line to be a cop. And this is the fucking problem. And yet you have assholes like Tucker Carlson out there giving this, like, putting this platform. He has this huge platform and he's saying, oh, well, he was defending himself and blah, blah. What the fuck was he there for? He wasn't there to peacefully or try to like calm shit down. He was there to fuck shit up. Like, let's be honest. And he fucked shit up for two fucking guys. And I don't know how anybody defends this shit.
Well, and their go-to is immediately to besmudge the character of one of the guys he killed, and he was a pedophile, he's a national hero because he killed a pedophile, da da da. But when he shot that man, he didn't know anything about him.
Could have been anybody. Could have been anybody.
So to make that illusion that he fucking knew, like that this guy was that's not the case. He didn't go out there to shoot this guy because he knew he's a pedophile. He went out there to fuck shit up and to protest the protests and
Yeah,
and
and
kill
and
two
and
people.
and that's their go-to. And because I have another example, Brian Urlacher, former Chicago Bears linebacker, after the Blake shooting, and the NBA players decided to protest. This asshole decides to tweet, Brett Favre played the Monday Night Football game the day his dad died, threw 4 touchdowns in the first half, and was a legend for playing in the face of adversity. NBA players boycott the playoffs because a dude reaching for a knife, wanted on a felony sexual assault warrant, was shot by police. So, because there's so many layers here. The NBA players are protesting because this is a real issue, you asshole, Brian Urlacher. You, Brett Favre's dad was gonna die. There's no doubt about that. It was gonna happen. His father was gonna die. Eventually, for whatever reason, his father was gonna die. His father didn't die from a cop shooting him in the back 7 times. And that's what stupid assholes like this don't understand. And like you said, they try to justify it by the character of the person that the offense is perpetrated on. And it doesn't matter. And we're going to talk about this in the future. As a matter of fact, you know what? This actually leads perfectly into it. Because the perfect example is this 13-year-old autistic boy that was shot by cops. The mother called the cops, told them her son was autistic. Okay? Told them in advance. He's autistic. He does this stuff to get, and mind you, I will allow for any details that I didn't read at this point. So I don't know the specifics if the boy ended up doing something that, might have caused them to shoot him. But from what I read, within like minutes after they arrived on scene, they shot the kid. And the mother told the dispatcher he's autistic and he just does this stuff for attention, but I need to get him to the mental hospital or whatever to get the shit under control. You're going to tell me that these people roll up to this situation to a 13-year-old boy and they don't have any protocols in place to take this kid down without shooting him? Like, if you don't think we need to reform, if you don't think there needs to be new training or other methods, then you are a fucking asshole. And again, we are pro-police on this podcast. We agree that these guys face tough decisions all the time. And we're going to talk about a little bit more about that later on. But how do you justify this? Other than if the boy had a gun, I don't think there's any other way to justify it. He's 13 years old. He's autistic. You were warned. You should have some training, some methods available to take him down without deadly force. Unless he whipped out a fucking AK on you.
And even then, like, there has to be a non-lethal measure, and that's lack of training. That goes back to what we previously talked about you can't 100% fault these officers because they lack the training on how to deal with certain situations, and it's like, especially in this case, like with a mental deficiency, they don't know how to deal with it. And they treat it like they're dealing with, an armed suspect. What they don't understand is you're dealing with an armed suspect with mental deficiencies.
Yeah, so it was in Utah. I wanted to actually get my shit straight for once. um, but yeah, so basically he's having a mental breakdown, and the mother, basically said he's just trying to get attention and he doesn't know how to regulate. And within minutes, she heard voices saying, "Get down on the ground," followed by several gunshots. Supposedly, the police are saying he had made threats to some folks with a weapon. So obviously, it's early in the investigation. But here we go again. Like, this is why people are saying reform the police, then or defund the police. It's a stupid. It should be reform the police. It shouldn't be defund the police. It should be reform the police. That's where they went wrong. That's where people take it the wrong way, and that's where you see these stupid Trump ads trying to scare people. Which, by the way, he wasn't trying to scare everybody because of the coronavirus. He was trying to keep everybody calm. But in his ads, he's trying to scare people into thinking that Joe Biden's going to defund the police and they're going to have to wait on hold while somebody's doing a home invasion on their fucking house. So no, he doesn't get it. He's not trying to scare anybody. He didn't try to say there were caravans of fucking MS-13 gang members and stuff coming from Mexico to come and kill everybody and take their jobs and eat their kids. No, that's not his way. No, of course not. No. It's Mike Tyson. That's not Donald Trump. Like, whatever. Anyways, so you got anything else about that? The floor is
No,
yours.
I mean, going back to the original thing going back to the original thing we were talking about the protesters. One of the most disturbing things that I saw, and a very real thing and a way to get people to no longer back your message and what you're out to do, is when two people take it upon themselves to attempt to murder two law enforcement officers on patrol. The officers are transported to the hospital, and then you decide to protest outside the hospital saying, "Let them die. Let them die." You're chanting this outside the hospital. They deserve to die.
I honestly, I didn't see this story, and when you keyed me in on it, I can't believe it. Those people not only deserve COVID. I'm trying to think of a proper punishment. Nothing's coming to mind.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not very.
I mean, legitimately, they actually, on one of the interviews I saw, they had a religious leader who was just like, this is the most despicable thing he had ever seen in his life, and how he's so disappointed that our society has like become this, that it is socially acceptable for people to chant and wish death on people whose job every day, like, whether you support law enforcement or not, like, the good ones are out there to help people. That's what they're there for. Like, they sign up for this cause to help.
We're gonna pick up on that in further down. So what I want to focus on is the actual, not just the attack, because I don't think anybody can. I don't think anybody can make an excuse for shooting two innocent cops. Like, I don't care how much issues you have with all these horrible things that have happened to all these these black folks and stuff. These people were not involved in that. These people were just out there to protect you, to protect maybe not you personally, but in this community, they were there to protect that asshole that shot them. So that's number one. To then see that as a beacon of justice and to march to the hospital where these people are recovering from this horrible ambush. If you're out there chanting these horrible things, if you're out there relishing that these cops were ambushed and almost murdered, you are the most despicable piece of shit. You're worse than some of these cops who might have made poor judgment, might have been next to somebody who made poor judgment and did nothing. So they in turn made poor judgment. You are a humongous piece of trash, and you deserve more than a COVID death. I'm sorry. That is, there's no excuse for that. That is disgusting. And for anybody who partook in that, you're a piece of just the lowest. You know how the dog shit, it starts to turn a different color after it's been out there for a couple of days? You're worse than that. You're worse than one of those with fucking maggots coming out of it. You are a scumbag piece of shit loser that doesn't even, like, needs to be starved and offered a bag of dicks and you can't even eat them. That's how bad you are. Anyways, unless you have anything else to say, I don't know how much more we can express our support for upstanding police men and women who do their job the way they're supposed to on this podcast, because we have love for those. But we also understand that there's too many that do wrong, and there's too many that cover up the wrongdoing. So when we talk about those instances, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about those assholes, not all you good ones who protect us and are there for us every day of the week. We thank you. We salute you on this podcast. Everyone else, all you other assholes, fuck off. But to those protesters, I wish nothing good on you ever. Ever.
Yeah, and I don't want anyone to misconstrue, like, we support, our brown brothers and sisters. We're brown too. But I cannot support that kind of shit. Like, I understand your struggle. Like, I can't be okay with that.
Yeah, agreed. So, where are we? I lost my bookmark. All right. So yeah, because we touched upon some racial stuff that we're going to get into later, with the cops, because it's important that we talk about it. So let's move on to one of our favorite topics, cancel culture. Now, there was actually, I didn't put this on the list. So I'm everywhere today. I'm everywhere. It's fucking going in 20,000 lanes. There was I guess a radio host in Chicago. And this happened quick, dude. I read the story earlier today. By the end of the day, the motherfucker was fired. So apparently the new sideline reporter for Monday Night Football or whatever, tweeted something out, or I don't know, whatever. A picture was taken. Now, mind you, she's got showing about as much as I am. She's got her shoulders out. and a little bit of chest, whatever. The jacket is a leather jacket, but it's nothing like S&M or anything like that. This asshole tweets, and this is a problem I have with cancel culture. He's an asshole. He made a bad joke. I don't think he should have been fired for it. He tweeted something like when Monday Night Football meets the AVN Awards or something stupid like that. I don't have the article in front of me. But he was obviously trying to make a joke. They didn't even give him a chance to apologize. They didn't even give him a chance to say, I was trying to be funny. It was in poor taste, blah, blah, blah. Nothing. Gone. Done. You're fired. You're over. Because he made a stupid joke. Now, it wasn't funny. It was obviously misogynistic. But he didn't he shouldn't have lost his job, I guess is my point. I know this comes a certain responsibility with stuff, but it's not like he said, it's not like he called her a prostitute out there tricking for dollars, or I don't know. I mean, I guess AVN, adult video, whatever the hell it is, the fucking porn stars and stuff. I guess that's almost as bad, or if not worse. But I don't think he was maliciously trying to be this misogynistic dick. And maybe I'm wrong because I don't really listen to him. He's in Chicago. I'm guessing he was just trying to make a joke that sucked and fell flat. And I don't think his whole body of work should just be destroyed because he made a bad joke. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
See, I've seen so many times in past things, like before this became a thing, like it was not uncommon for journalists or actors or people to say dumb shit. Sports guys, athletes, will say dumb shit and then have to retract it and apologize. But they weren't getting canceled. Like they weren't fucking pulling them off the air. They weren't fucking wiping them off the slate.
It's not like he went Andrew Dice Clay and was like, oh, hey, look at this whore bag with a fucking, he made a stupid joke and it fell flat. It fell flat and he should have known better. There's no question about it. But his career is going to be over now because he made a stupid joke on Twitter. If we're being honest, if the woman that he tweeted about sat down with him and he apologized to her and he said, I'm going to do better. I'm going to use this as an avenue to, maybe change some people's minds. Wouldn't that be more productive than to just say, fuck this guy, get him out of my face? That's where we
If the NFL can go from Jerry Jones saying, no member of my football team will ever take a knee to having a player take a knee on Sunday and him going, he appreciated the courage that this young man had to kneel by himself, then it's possible in any other avenue.
Well, if I'm being honest, I think he's just playing the politics game, but at least he's open to listen. On the surface, it looks like at least he's open to listen, where nobody else is. The woman responded, and I think she responded well to this guy, and good for her. But she wasn't sitting there saying, woe was me, this misogynistic asshole is making bad comments about me. And I honestly think she probably would have sat down with him and said, this is why what you said is fucked up. And maybe change the guy's mind, and maybe he doesn't do something stupid like that going forward. This is the whole point. This cancel culture shit has gotten to the point where this fired me up. I ain't gonna lie. USC professor was talking about how, as Americans, when we speak our language and how we do what I just did, we insert ums and uhs and these pauses when we speak. As an example, and I know this because I saw a Russell Peters comedy special where he talked about this, because the guy's traveled all over the world. He was in China or Japan or wherever the hell it was. And I think it's China. These people, when they're inserting these pauses while they speak, they say, niga, niga. And his joke was there was a black lady there too. And he looked at her like, whatever. But that's besides the point. The point is, he brought this up as an example, and his students, the African-American ones, and I'm not going to single you guys out because you deserve the same treatment as all these other soft-ass fucks. He didn't say the hard R. He said it the way supposedly these people say it. And it wasn't even in that context. It had nothing to do with that word. He was using it in a completely different context. And because he said this, they accused him of saying it the wrong way. They said that they couldn't continue to learn in that environment. These fucking snowflakes basically got this guy. They didn't get him canceled, but I think, I don't know if he got suspended. I don't know. I don't remember. I just remember he got in trouble for this dumb shit. The guy's trying to teach you something. He's trying to show you what is actually out there in the world. And you are so fucking mentally weak and soft that you can't even handle it. You shit your pants and you can't deal with something that sounds like something derogatory. Like, what the fuck are we doing? What the fuck? And this is where I blame parents. This is where I blame this coddling and this pussification of America. And this is why Donald Trump's president, by the way, because of this ridiculous pussification of America, where you can't even discipline your kids anymore. Now, mind you, I'm not talking about Adrian Peterson beat the shit out of your kids with a switch or whatever, which some people, they still do that. Some people, that's how they were raised. That's what they do. That's what they learn, blah, blah, blah. I don't condone it. I think that's way too much. But I will say I was born on getting an ass whipping. I was raised on getting an ass whipping. And I don't think it's, and I will also say I've never had to lay a hand on my children, thank God, other than a harmless little swift kick in the ass when they're doing something that they shouldn't be doing. Something that does not hurt them at all, but it gets their attention. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
I think we live in a society where people are so afraid to correct their kids that now anything goes. Like anything goes.
They can basically do whatever they want.
No.
Because everybody's like so woke. They're so hip to the game. They don't use those methods on their kids. Well, I don't really use those methods on my kids either. But there's the threat. There's the threat. I've always told them, you ain't old enough to get me to put a foot in your ass. And my daughter is 25 years old now. So there's the threat. I'm proud of myself for remembering that without having to stop and think about it for a second. Because there's been times where I'm like, wait, how old is my daughter? Yeah. In any case, of course she doesn't give a fuck. And she's like, yeah, whatever. But I'll still say it to her.
Yeah.
I'll still say you ain't too old to get a foot in your ass. Watch how you talk. Watch your tone. And there's
But I
something.
mean, even for us who grew up like where you legitimately would catch an ass whooping, and it was a memorable ass whooping. But
Dude,
after a while,
dude, we grew up.
but after
No, we grew up like fucking Zen masters because we used to dodge the chancletas like like the Matrix. Like we were like Neo in the Matrix, and Mom would whip those fucking slippers at us, and we were just like, whoosh, whoosh.
I remember being a kid and telling Ma one time, she's like, I brought you into this world and I'll take you out. And me being, the wise ass I was at the time, I was like, good, can we stop at McDonald's on the way? Like, and her rattling my teeth. But, it was a different time. We grew up like that was socially acceptable. And you know what, like, at some point, she didn't have to hit us anymore because the threat of hitting us was enough for us to go, oh, you know what? Maybe I'm just gonna chill out a little bit because I'm not trying to get hit with that. Like
Yeah, yeah, and like I understand. Like you want to progress, you want to do things a better way, but it's gotten so far out of whack that we have these fucking soft ass young adults. They're in college. They're young adults. They're going to be voting. Like, we have these motherfuckers. Like, he said, Nika, I can't focus on my studies. Like, it affects me so emotionally. I don't know what to do. Like, what the fuck? He was talking about something in context about real life situations. Are you that fucking stupid or tone deaf? Common sense is gone. You can't continue to take the class because whatever. We're spending way too much time on these fucking assholes. I don't want those motherfuckers to catch COVID. I want them to get the shits. I want them to get a hard, like, good week of the squirts just for being such assholes. Fuck those guys. So, we talked about all these protests and shit earlier, and it's obvious that a big part of this is these racial divides where people just refuse to open up their minds to what the circumstances and the trials and tribulations of other sides, other races, and just how their lives are and how the things that are the way they are affect them. so for all those people that just keep downplaying this stuff, I apologize. I didn't write down what city this happened in. So this black guy, and I think it was his son, went to return their U-Haul. And anybody who's ever rented a U-Haul knows you can return it off hours and stuff because they have drop boxes that allow you to do that. So they went to drop off their U-Haul and it got shot at. And the answer from the owners, I guess, was that, there's been break-ins and stuff lately and this and that. And older white folks shooting at younger black folks. Could be telling the truth, could be not. I don't know. It's not for me to say, but it's just another example of just the racial division and how all of this stuff is not being helped by our leaders right now. And it's why NBA players are saying, fuck you, I don't want to play. For you assholes who Oh, well, pussy NBA. Fucking Colby Covington, this cunt, UFC Trump supporter, asshole, talking shit. Like, there's so many of them. There's so many of them that just, they just turn their back on what the whole purpose is and what the whole
or
point
they
is.
or they or they have opinions that are fucking irrelevant because no one cares what your fucking opinion is.
Yeah,
Shut the
but
fuck up.
however, we don't want to be like Laura Ingraham and tell them to just shut up and dribble because they have a right. They have a platform. Now I'm contradicting myself because I've told the actors and stuff to shut the fuck up in the past. So maybe I'm not maybe I'm not being consistent. But whatever. Um, I'm totally not being consistent. But I'll edit that out later. Um, so the point is that the bigger scale, the grand scheme of things, where our leaders don't denounce these white supremacists and these acts of aggression by these white power type folks, leads to things like this. And here's another example. An 11-year-old girl, where, where was she in? She was in Kansas City. Kansas City, attacked by a 12-year-old boy. Now, according to the story, the boy was spouting racial slurs or whatever. And the 11-year-old girl supposedly said she's proud of her blackness or whatever. And even if she told him, fuck off, you honky or whatever, like she was using words. So even if it's not as they say it went down, even if she told him to eat a bag of dicks, which I doubt an 11-year-old would, but but even if she said, fuck you, you white piece of shit, like he hit her with a metal fucking pipe and busted her face because she was black. That's what all this shit is leading to. It's leading to this rhetoric that is being spewed by Trump, that is being, or maybe not Trump, but his people who support him, that he does not denounce, that he does not say, fuck those guys, like until he's absolutely forced to. When he says, "Oh, I disavow," until he's absolutely forced to, he's just like, "Oh yeah, I love people who support me, even if they're white supremacists or whatever." So it's gotten to the point where we have kids hitting kids and thinking it's okay. Like this kid is going to face a felony charge because it's a hate crime. A kid who was probably taught this shit by his parents, or at least one of his parents, and the ladder goes upwards. This is where we are in this day and age. In 2020, this is where we are, where we have young kids thinking it's okay to bash somebody in the face with a metal fucking pipe because they're a different color than them. And yet we have assholes saying, oh, fuck the NBA for protesting. Like, fuck you. Fuck off. You don't see the problem, you stupid assholes. I don't know if you saw that story, but that pissed me off.
I mean, if anything, that is a signal that there's a real problem here. Like, and I had a conversation with a friend the other day, and this is one of the things that I kind of said to him. I was like, someone who's not of color will never understand what a person of color goes through. They've never endured their experiences.
Yeah.
So to some extent, them not understanding is sad because the culture, like, they've never just been through that. Just like a person of color would never understand what it's like to be, a white person. Like, but the way we resolve that is we communicate with each other. We learn from each other. We reach out a hand to each other so that we can come to understand. So we sit down at the table together and figure it out.
Where in this world is it acceptable in a 12-year-old's mind to bash a fucking girl's face in with a metal pipe because she has different colored skin? Like, that is what's real to me. Like that, like you can have all this media noise and all of this bullshit about this and that, protests here and this guy saying this and this guy saying that. I can't give you a more real example than a 12-year-old boy bashing the face of a girl who had to get, I don't know how many stitches and lost a tooth. He bashed her in the fucking face with a metal pipe because she's a different skin color. Or maybe because she called him an asshole. But it started because she's a different skin color. How is this still acceptable in this day and age? How are kids still being raised this way? That's the bigger issue. That's what and when they talk about systemic racism, hello, these are the types of things they're talking about. That there are these young racists that are going to become future racists because the system has failed. And it leads me to a flip-flop. I'm gonna go on the other side of the argument here, where what you see a lot these days is people will film a cop pulling over somebody or dealing with somebody, a white person, in a certain situation. And right away you see the hashtag or the narrative. Oh, see, look at how they treated that white guy. Look at all the like this white guy was being, he was fighting with them. He wasn't listening to what they say. What would have happened if that was a black guy, right? You've seen this, I'm sure. To which I say, so you want him to treat him differently? Aren't we trying to get away from that? How do you know that cop would have treated a black guy differently or a black woman differently? How do you know that? That cop might be one of the good ones. That cop might be one of the ones that treats everybody that way. That cop might just be a good fucking cop. And yet, because they're a good cop, they get stigmatized and negative comments because they gave a white person the benefit of the doubt, because they gave a white person more leeway than maybe they should have. Isn't that what we're asking for? Who are you to judge that cop who did things the right way? You don't know if they, now, if you could give me a side by side of that cop and say, this is what they did with a white person versus this is what they did with a black person in the same situation. Okay, now you have a point. Now I'm listening to you. But when you're going to tell me, oh, what would he did if that was a black guy? Fuck off. Fuck off, because he might have did it or she might have did the exact same fucking thing. So why should I assume that cop was going to do any different based on that person's color? And that's what it's become. And that's why these cops are pissed off, because they're like, I'm already accused of being a racist. I'm already assumed to be a racist. And that's fucked up.
Yeah, and in that instance, who's the racist? Like, the presumption that officer was, gave some courtesy to that white person. Who is the racist in that situation? Like, is this narrator the racist because they're making an assumption because this white officer is giving courtesy?
I honestly don't think it's that the person is racist. I think they're just falling into that trap because they're not thinking it through. They're just going based on their initial reactions and the reactions of others.
Yeah, they're creating a narrative.
Exactly. Without knowing the cop, without knowing the people in question. Like, you stupid assholes. you want them to do this stuff. You want them to handle these situations these ways, no matter of their color, race, whatever. No matter if they're gay, straight, whatever.
So I'll give you an example of something that recently I saw. So recently, this guy was like behind the building, coming down an alleyway, and an officer stopped him in the alleyway. Now, mind you, guy had no business being behind the building. I think he walked back there to take a piss or whatever. But he's behind this, shopping center building at night, like 12:45, 1 o'clock in the morning. And an officer, happens to drive back there, sees him back there. Asks him, kind of what his business is back there. And the guy's like, fuck off, it's none of your business. I'm not doing anything illegal. So the officer's like...
It could have been me.
Yeah. So the officer's like, okay, like, maybe we're not doing anything illegal. Just ask the question. Like, don't be scared because I asked the question. Like, you're somewhere where, I'm not questioning you because of your skin tone. You're somewhere where people shouldn't really be at that time of night.
Yep.
So the dude immediately goes on the defensive and is like, oh, fuck you. You're not going to kill me. You're just another racist cop. And so, like, the cop's like, whoa, bro, like, I'm not killing you. Like, I'm brown like you are. And the officer happened to be, like, a Latino cop and was like, yo, I'm brown like you are. I haven't shot anyone. What are you talking about? And this dude was like, nah, fuck that. You still wear that uniform. And this officer, like, and I'm sitting back looking at the dude, and I'm like, damn, like, what did he do wrong? Like, you're on this defensive, and really, like, I can't see that the officer was wrong there.
No, he wasn't. That's his job. That's his fucking job. It's out of the ordinary for somebody to be behind there at that time. So he's obligated to inspect that and check it out. And to not tell him, hey, listen, fuckface, shut your fucking mouth before I fucking bust your teeth in, it shows that that's not what he's doing it the way he's supposed to. So had that situation happened with a white person and the cop acted exactly the same, that's what you would hear. Well, look at how the cop handled that because it was a white person. But they didn't see him do it with the black person, which he did exactly the same thing. And that's what's fucked up. And that's why a lot of these cops are like, I'm labeled a racist when I haven't even done anything to anybody. Like, I'm just a normal guy. I'm just out here trying to do my job and protect people. And that's where we've crossed the line. And that's where things have gone too far. We need to focus. We need to focus on the bad ones and stop making it seem like they're all bad. This is bullshit. It's gone too fucking far. Which leads me to, I don't know how old this movie is. And we're talking about racial division and stuff like that. Actually, I do know how old it is because it says it in the song. 1989, The Number, Another Summer, Sound of the Funky Drummer. So this is from the movie Do the Right Thing, right? So we're talking 31 years ago? Is my math right? 31 years ago, right? 31 years ago, if you didn't see this movie, you should watch it because it's a great movie, Spike Lee movie. It shows all this racial division in these neighborhoods, not just black and white, just like how everybody views everybody at that time. And in the end of the movie, Radio Raheem gets choked the fuck out. Okay? Radio Raheem, a riot starts in front of Sal's Pizza. Radio Raheem gets choked the fuck out because he's blasting his music. Okay? He's there. He's blasting his music. He's part of the protest. blasting Public Enemy. They kill Radio Raheem. Now, it all started because another character, bugging out, wanted Sal, the pizza owner who owned the shop in the hood, who just about all his customers were Latinos and black folks and whatever. All the guy asked him was, how come you don't have no brothers on the wall? Because he had pictures of like Sinatra and this and that. And mind you, it's his place. He can have whoever he wants on the walls. But do you think that if he actually took the time, instead of just being a hard ass, to bugging out, if he just said, you know what, this is my community, who do you think I should put up there? Maybe he says Malcolm X. Maybe he says, nah, that's a little too extreme for me. But they come to some agreement and they say, all right, put up Dr. King. All it took was for him to just be open to a little bit of change. Now, you might say, all right, well, it's his property. It's his business. He can do whatever the fuck he wants, which I agree. But it caused, in the movie, we're talking hypothetical, it caused all this drama and commotion and riots and all this stuff and a guy dead, when all he had to do was just open up his mind a little bit. And I don't know if that was the point of the movie, but that's what I'm taking from it. All he had to do was say, you know what? I agree. Eddie Murphy's a funny motherfucker. I'll put him up there. Or Richard Pryor at that time. I don't know, whatever. Whoever. Somebody that he liked. Somebody that he enjoyed. Because the owner had a chubby for Spike Lee's sister. He used to fall over his dick like whenever she came into the store. So it's not like he was like this anti-black guy. He was just like this hardo that, I'm going to put on my guys up there.
I mean, I took it as like his thing about it was he was celebrating his culture and the Italians.
And that's fine. But if your audience is primarily black and Latino, would it hurt to just throw them a bone and say, you know what? This is my homage to my heritage, but I also appreciate this too. So, yeah, I'm going to put a brother on the wall just for you. Let's talk about which one I should put up there. Like, that's what diversity is. That's what opening your mind is. That's what we're talking about. And that's what everybody seems to have lost. And I don't fucking get it. I don't have anything else to say about this stuff. This has been a heavy episode. And I hope we can get into some lighter things. If you have no objections.
I'm on board for that.
Although I do have one more ridiculous thing. It's not that heavy, but I saw a clip of this Amazon driver trying to deliver a package to this, and this old guy was like questioning him why he didn't have a mask on or whatever, and the dude just mushes him in the face with his phone or whatever. Like come on, man, you're fucking. And he probably was contracted because Amazon, like, they're so big now, they're contracting other companies to do their deliveries and stuff. So this was probably some jerk off working for some other company that they contracted. But come on, all the guy did was ask you to wear a mask, and you're gonna just fucking mush him in the face with your phone or whatever. And then as soon as he points out the camera to him, the guy like changes his whole shit and he leaves. Like, oh shit, I'm busted. Fuck. So, but it leads me to, we've talked about masks numerous times on these podcasts, and all of the anti-maskers and their efforts that they go through to get away from them. So it got me to thinking, okay, so what is one of their main what main excuses? that it affects their breathing and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So for those people, how about if they just wore a face shield? You can still breathe. It's not constricting your breathing. If you legit wanted to be safe and couldn't wear a mask, why couldn't you wear a face shield? Am I wrong?
No, I mean, I think for a lot of these people, the reality, the truth is, there's nothing wrong with them. There's no reason why they couldn't wear a mask. They just do not want to. They don't want to be told what to do, and it's such a fucking ludicrous thing for me because you get told what to do every fucking day. Like, you drive down the road, and at the end of your road is a stop sign, and you fucking stop. Guess what? You just got told what to do. You know, you get in your car, you put on your seatbelt. Well, guess what? You did what you were told to do because that's the law.
Yep.
So, like, this whole thing of, like, not wearing a mask, like, and I deal with this shit all day long, every fucking day that I work. Like, I deal with some schmuck that's like, oh, it's not helping anyone or not preventing anyone from getting sick. Well, you know what? Maybe it's not preventing you because you're not wearing one, with dumbass. But, like, maybe we'd like to be safe. Maybe we wouldn't want to get sick. Maybe we don't want to be exposed to your shit. Maybe, you know, because a lot of these motherfuckers that aren't wearing masks are the ones getting sick, bro.
Yep.
Like,
they just don't get it. They can't understand. You know what? You know what might work, and maybe we need to start bringing this back. You remember when AIDS became a big thing and HIV and all of that stuff, and they used to have, like, they tried to scare you in school. Like, they used to have, like, posters, and they would show you, okay, if you slept with this person, and this person slept with this person, and this person slept with this person, and they would show you, like, the web of how AIDS is transmitted and stuff, and how, like, one person can just transmit it in this big tree. It's the same fucking thing, you stupid assholes. It's the same thing. How is this so hard to understand? I don't get it. How dumb do you have to be?
They had an outbreak at one of the jails in Virginia. There's 158 inmates. 128 of them contract the virus. 128 of them. And
wow.
You guys don't think there's a problem? Like,
dude,
you guys don't think
it's all over the place. There was a wedding that went over 50 capacity up in Maine, and it spread all out, and it's responsible for like 3 deaths or something like that because of this one wedding. Sturgis is spreading everywhere because all those assholes that decided they just had to drive their bikes. They just had to drive their bikes to this stupid fucking event so that they can be and just defy science, and they're spreading it all over the place. And I guarantee you, these stupid Trump rallies and these other events where they're doing this same type of dumb shit is going to spread more. And but getting back to
my next door neighbor who contracted the COVID virus has been in the hospital for a month and a half.
Jesus Christ.
Kids who had COVID pneumonia. She, like, the medicine that she's taken for it has made her teeth crumble in her mouth.
What?
Like, yeah, like she can't do any physical activity without, like, needing oxygen. Like, this is a young woman. Like, this shit is serious. Like, yeah, it doesn't affect everyone, but
Jesus
some of the
Christ,
population
dude.
it does. And if and for that reason alone, like, don't be a selfish fuck. Wear a mask. Like, it's.
Well, we're beating a dead horse with this. We've talked about it numerous times. Speaking of face shields, I know that you work at nights, but I'm sure that you guys have, like, the TVs on for football and all of that stuff. Did you catch Andy Reid's face shield on Thursday Night Football?
Yeah.
It was so fucking ridiculous. The poor bastard. It was raining, and you know how that is when you're driving, and your fucking shit starts fogging up, and you
You
put
got no windshield wiper?
no even if you do, you put the defrost on, and it doesn't fucking help. So then you put the other, you try to cool it, and it doesn't help. It's like, what the fuck? What is causing this fucking fog? You know, so but. So you end up having to equal the temperatures. You end up having to roll the window down and get your whole fucking arm wet just so that you can see. But so it happens to hockey players all the time. You see them wiping their visors down with towels.
Mm-hmm.
But poor Andy Reid, I guess he doesn't watch hockey because he was so clueless with that fog of a face shield. Oh man, I guarantee you, like so many coaches and players probably clown the shit out of him after that. Oh, that was priceless. And speaking of football, I think you said that there were comments that there were, because there was no fans, it felt like a diminished product.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of like people saying, "Oh, like I guess Monday night ratings were down 20%, or maybe Sunday night's ratings were down 20% or something like that, because they felt like football just wasn't the same without fans." Um, I don't know. Like I was so happy for football to be back, and watching the games. I mean, other than some mistiming because there was no preseason, I thought the games were all pretty good. Um, I actually thought they were better than I expected. Like there wasn't as many penalties as I thought there were going to be.
No sport is the same without the fans. It's just reality. However, we've already had what, a couple months like learning to deal with this. So we've already seen baseball games with those fake cardboard cutouts. We've already seen NBA games with people on screens instead of actually being in the stands, people on screens cheering. We've already seen the NHL with none of that. The NHL just put tarp over the seats for the playoffs and stuff. And I honestly, it does take away from it, but it doesn't take away from it enough for me to not watch it. So to me, that's completely bullshit. What it comes down to is there's a segment of the population, whether it be cops, whether it be people who support cops, whether it be people who support the national anthem and who find these protests to tickle them the wrong way. They are boycotting the NFL for whatever reason, which is so fucking stupid. Like, whatever. I'm not going to get into that. We're not going to go back to that heavy shit. But I don't think not having fans drove people away. And I also think I saw a funny meme about the protesters who were mad at people or the people boycotting the NFL because of the protesters who kneeled for the national anthem or whatever. There's a meme of, I forget what movie it is, Samuel L. Jackson is in, and he's just kind of like peeking around the corner. Because I guarantee you there's a lot of that. Maybe they weren't watching, but I bet you a lot of them had bets on the game, and I bet you a lot of them were looking at the scores on their phones and stuff like that. So they will come back because the NFL is that awesome. And since we're talking about football, I have to say the Patriots did a pretty good job with their new quarterback. Cam did a pretty good job, but we're not going to get into that. What I really want to talk about is Tom Brady, because all the haters are just coming on the ceiling because Tom Brady had a shit game with a team that didn't even have a training camp. And with players who he's just getting and a whole new offensive system that he's just getting familiar with. And in the same game, Drew Brees, who nobody shits on, who everybody loves, played just as bad, if not worse. Or maybe not worse because he didn't throw a pick six, but he played just as shitty. His completion percentage was trash. He was all over. He sucked. Drew Brees sucked in that game. And yet the criticism for Tom Brady was off the chains. And from a lot of ex-Patriots fans, they're like, oh, well, fuck him. You know, now he sees what it's like to not have the coach that he had and this and that and all this stuff. And to this, I say to you assholes, like they act like he had nothing to do with all those championships. It's fucking unbelievable. It's like how quickly they forget what a fucking unbelievable job this guy did in so many times. But whatever.
Yeah, you can't go from calling the guy the GOAT to, you know, the jackass the next season. You know
Dude, they forgot everything. They forgot everything.
And the funny thing is the first drive, Tom Brady comes out, has an amazing drive, his first drive of the game. He had an amazing drive. Then he ended up rushing in for a touchdown and scoring.
But you know he did that shit on purpose because you know he saw Cam earlier and he was like, all right, fuck you, Bill. I'm going to call my own number.
But, I mean, on that same token, like, for me as a Patriots fan and as a Tom Brady fan, I was like, you know what, man? Bravo for him. You know, good for him, man. First drive for him as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, he scores. Bravo.
But there's a lot, dude. There's a lot of people, a lot of New England fans shitting on him now because he left. And it's like, you fucking babies.
You want to shit on anyone? Shit on Gronk.
Yeah, fuck Gronk. I have no use for Gronk.
shit on Gronkowski, who now, because he lost all that weight, is not as effective as a lot, you know.
Well, what I will say is this. You haven't seen the last of Brady. Brady's still good, and he's still going to do some damage this year. And if you think he's done, we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that. Well, let's put a pin in that because I have a feeling Brady's going to start vibing with this offense by midseason, and you're going to see what he's still capable of.
And there was flashes in the pan of that in that game.
Well, he did have a shit game. There's no question about it. But, I mean, again, a lot of variables. Cam Newton passed very little in the Patriots game. He did a lot of running. They didn't really open up the offense because he doesn't know it yet. And the same thing can be said about Brady. Drew Brees knows the offense like the back of his hand and played like ass. So for you idiots who are just loving the fact that Tom Brady had a bad game, great. Good for you. He had a bad game. Let's see what happens going forward. But that's a side note. Otherwise, yeah.
I was going to say in other news, the football team won their first game.
The Washington football team,
which for me I think was pretty funny. Like
big comeback. Good for them.
Yeah. Well, and I was watching the stats, and you know I see Eagles first football team, which cracked me the fuck up.
Yeah.
You know, all the Washington football fans in this area are excited because they're going to the Super Bowl this year.
I feel bad for them because that's not going to happen, but it was a good win for them. I'll give them that. You know, there's some promising players on that team. Let's see what happens.
They are first in their division.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, they beat the Eagles. The Giants lost, right?
The Cowboys lost.
Yeah, the Cowboys lost. That's right, to the Rams. Shit. Well, good for them. Good for them.
I mean, the football team won.
I don't want to crush anybody's dreams, but there have been plenty of seasons where the Buffalo Bills started off atop the division in the AFC East. But whatever. So,
I mean, I will say this, man. Like, Buffalo is going to give New England a run for their money this year.
Buffalo's a good team. Yes.
Stephon Diggs is a monster. Josh Allen.
All right. Well, this is going to become a football podcast. So I agree. Buffalo's a good team. They have a good defense, and they did make some whatever. We're not going to make this a football podcast, but it was great to have football back, especially because like now that I'm in Florida, I didn't even have to look for other means to stream the games because the Patriots were playing Miami, so that game was on, and then Tampa Bay was playing the Saints, so that game was on. So I didn't even have to worry about like, oh, because I don't have the NFL package. Like, oh, I got to find the stream somewhere. So that was cool.
But that's only this week.
Yeah, but I got some things up my sleeve. Not that I'm doing anything wrong. You know, not saying that I might shell out for the NFL package. Wink. So I'm just browsing the internet, and are you familiar with the AT&T commercial girl? I forget her name.
No.
I forgot you don't watch a lot of regular TV. So I think her last name is Vayntrub. But in any case, she's fine. Okay. This chick is smoking. All right. And she was on my radar when they were doing the AT&T commercials. Well, she's back for a whole nother round with them. And this poor woman, these assholes these trolls on the internet are the fucking worst, dude. She's got like normal people. She has Instagram photos. She has, pictures that she's taken from when she was younger. Nothing like ridiculous. Just, maybe some show a little cleavage here and there or something because she's got a nice pair of cans. And so they start trolling her. And it was like a AT&T Instagram post with her on it. And they had to take it down or no, they had to disable the comments because dudes were like talking shit about her. So the woman does like a live stream, and she's like, what's wrong with you guys? Like, I don't want this attention. Like, can you just stop? And these fucking assholes, no shame in their game. They're I don't know, tweeting or commenting. They're commenting like milk emojis and like just all this fucked up shit. And it's just like, what the fuck is wrong with you assholes that this is how you and part of me wants to say it's just frat boy humor and like some of them were doing it just to break balls and be funny and like I don't want to get too sensitive, but she was asked like if she wasn't taking offense to it, okay, fine. If she's like, well, fuck you guys, whatever, do whatever the fuck you want to do, then tweet the fucking milk emojis away. But she's like asking you, she's like, this is really like bringing me down. Can you guys like really stop? And they're just fucking blasting the milk emojis and stuff. It's like, as a society, what are we doing? Come on, guys. Just be better. Like maybe I try to put myself in I try to put myself into 21-year-old me. If we had like Twitter and these live streams and things like that back then, would I be saying what I'm saying now? And maybe I'm just an optimist, but I think I would. Because I've always had a generous respect for women. And I don't know. It's just like when somebody's asking you to just stop, you should just kind of stop. No?
Yeah.
I mean, am I being a pussy? Am I being too sensitive?
I mean, I think there comes a point where like it's like the joke's on you, like like now you've gone too far.
Well, I will say this: the best way to deal with that is to roll with it. She shouldn't have been like, oh, come on, guys, it's making me uncomfortable. She should have just been like, you know what? You guys are fucking clowns. You want to tweet milk emojis or whatever? Feel free.
And then drink, and then
Yeah,
drink a glass of
exactly. Troll the fuck out of it. Dunk some fucking Oreos in it. Like, just been like, mix some chocolate milk right in front of their face. Like, yeah, you assholes will never taste this milk. Like, dunk on them. Just flip it. Flip the script. But when you start like playing the victim, it gives them more ammunition. It's like fucking blood in the water. The sharks just come and I don't know how many milk emojis she got, but I think there was a lot.
Well, and look, and you know as well as I do, like I think that maybe that's a guy thing. Like, have you ever like had that one guy that's in your group that's always kind of the butt of the joke? Because they make themselves the target.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's a little different. In this case, she was never asking for that. But like you said, she should have dunked on them. She should have flipped that. That would have been the best move. That's always the best move. Eminem taught you that in 8 Mile. Flip it. Use whatever supposed weakness and slam it home. Like, what the fuck? I don't know. That's probably, if I was her, I would have flaunted those fucking big sweet milk bags and been like, yeah, milk. You're never gonna see it, son. Like, like whatever. I would have just be clever with it.
Or she could have launched her OnlyFans and made $2 million in 2 weeks.
Oh man. Oh, they're pissed at that chick is just the worst. The worst.
The funny thing is, like, the people that are pissed are like the adult industry people, because now OnlyFans has
limits.
Put these,
they put limits. I gotta, you know what? I have to say this. If you're paying money to follow any of these broads, you're a fucking loser. If you're giving them tips and all of this stuff, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, that's like buying porn. Like, at this day and age, that's like buying porn. That's like getting a subscription to fucking Bang Brothers. Like, what the fuck are you doing? OnlyFans. And all these assholes, like these chicks, they create these Amazon wish lists, and these assholes actually buy them shit. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Holy shit! And this leads back to, we're going another lane. Here we go. This is exactly why I say prostitution should be legal, because these assholes are wasting all their money on stupid shit. Like, this chick is falsely telling them she's going to release some nudes or whatever the fuck. She doesn't even do it. So they get duped and they spend all this money. And by the way, she's not even that hot, if you ask me. But they do all this stuff and they get nothing, when they could have spent half and had a great night. Like, a real physical great night.
And got exactly what they were paying for.
OnlyFans. Fuck out of here with OnlyFans. I'd rather, before you see me get a subscription to OnlyFans, I will get an old school Playboy before I fucking do that shit. That shit is ridiculous. OnlyFans. Fuck off. So, browsing through content, I saw something that I just couldn't believe. It just didn't seem possible. And if I'm being honest, they should write it into the fucking story. How the fuck does Batman get the vid? He's fucking Batman. I understand he's not Superman, but Batman has all the fucking technical shit. Like, he has the mask. He has the ultimate mask. Batman doesn't get the vid. If anything, Batman protects himself even better than anybody else from the vid. How the fuck did Batman get the vid?
Yeah, you know who's not getting the vid? Bane.
But I don't think Bane's part of this new movie.
No, but so Robert Pattinson, like, I was torn on this because, like, any dude that does a movie where vampires like glow, sparkle in sunlight, like,
it's a dramatic role. Fuck off.
yeah, like
He's Batman.
But you know, the previews of the movie I've seen of him as Batman, dude, I'm impressed. Like, I think he's going to be a great Batman.
He was until he went and got the fucking vid. You can't.
He's not gonna die. They're gonna restart production on the movie. Like,
I'm not gonna look at him the same. He's a pussy. Batman doesn't catch the vid. He's a little vampire bitch. Like, he put it this way. He's gonna have to put on the performance of a lifetime in order for me to not see him as a little bitch vampire boy. See, I was all in. I was willing to give him, like, let's go. You're the new Batman. But then he caught the vid. And so now that's always going to be in the back of my brain. Like, this is not Batman. He's a fucking little bitch boy vampire who probably sucked on some COVID blood and got the vid.
See, I watched the animated series and I watched Bruce Wayne get like the cold in one episode.
Cold is not the vid.
If he can't fight the common cold, he can't fight the vid, man.
Listen, Bruce Wayne would find a vaccine for the vid in like 2 weeks. If Trump was going to do anything right, he'd get Bruce Wayne on the phone and we'd all have a vaccine right now. Okay. Pattinson is a little vampire bitch boy because Batman doesn't catch the vid. Fuck that. Not my Batman. Not my fucking Batman. Fuck that. He wears a mask. He's always wearing a mask.
I will say one of the sad losses for 2020 was the Black Panther. You know,
yeah, that sucked.
Coming to cancer.
That sucked. But what I will say about that is I cannot stand the pandering and all the people who act like they actually knew him. Like, it's like, Jesus Christ. It sucks. I understand he was a good actor. He wasn't part of your family. Relax with the fucking anguish and grief.
And my thing is, I think it was really cool. Like, the Black Panther was an interesting character. Because I think, like, he gave young black kids a role model.
Absolutely.
And I think it's really cool. Like, one of the things they're talking about to continue the story is that his sister is going to step up and be the Black Panther.
Well, didn't somebody else give young black boys a role model before that? Before the Black Panther? Are we forgetting about Captain America's boy?
You talking about Falcon?
Yeah. Yeah, what was wrong with Falcon? Falcon's still alive. Falcon's like Wakanda maybe forever. Falcon's like, told you guys. Nobody listen.
I mean, there's still War Machine too.
Oh yeah, even before him. That's true. But I don't know, nobody really fuck with War Machine.
He can do everything that Iron Man did.
Yeah, but there wasn't that connection. Like,
he just didn't have. You'd have
Even with Falcon, there was no connection. Like with Black Panther, if you're a little black kid, you felt the connection. Like you saw their nation, just all black people and stuff. And you're right, that was pretty dope. Um. But by the way, speaking of that, do you see this ridiculous new requirements for Oscars about diversity? I don't know what the specific numbers are, but let's say you did a movie based in Nazi Germany, and it's about the Nazis killing the Jews or whatever. And it's a great movie. It's fucking awesome. Unless you hire so many minorities or gay, lesbian, LGBTQ, whatever, they will not nominate your film, which is bananas. Because how do you put a black person in that situation? How do you put a trans person in that situation? I guess a trans person would be easier than a black person, but
I could see Adolf Hitler as a trans.
True. Oh, by the way, that also reminds me. Have you ever seen Jojo Rabbit? It's they have this Hitler character that's fucking hilarious. You gotta watch it if you get some free time. Just the Adolf Hitler character in it makes it worth watching because they clown him so much, but whatever. Back to what's his name? Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
He didn't get the vid.
No.
He didn't get the vid.
He actually lost his long fight with cancer. I mean, I will say, man, like I said, it's sad to see him go as a role model.
Yeah, sucks. But again, it sucks, but I'm not going to sit here and act like it affects me personally like some of these assholes do on social media. But for those that it does, because like you said, he became a role model to a lot of little black boys, and that's a sad thing. And hopefully somebody else will step up and be, now that they've opened this diversity, hopefully there'll be the next version of that in whatever form it becomes, and they can gravitate towards that. Like Miles Morales for Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying? Like he's like half black and half Dominican or something like that. So like there's more stuff coming in the future, and that's a good thing. So I think you wanted to talk about this influx of game shows.
Yeah. So it's one of the things I noticed the other day, and then one of the topics you brought up was like the amount of like judge shows, court TV shows.
Well,
so
let's talk about the game shows first.
I'm flipping through the channels the other day. Yes, I'm flipping through the channels the other day. Decided to bring back all like the old 1970s, 80s, 90s fucking game shows. So like Press Your Luck is back.
No whammies.
What was the other one?
No whammies. No whammies.
Yeah, so Press Your Luck was back. The Squares game.
Hollywood Squares?
Yes, I was just like, yeah, like Hollywood Squares is back, but they call it something different.
What?
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is back. But just
Who Wants
like
to Be
this
a
whole
Millionaire is
lineup,
back?
and then
Holy
they got
shit.
Then they got this American version of like these Japanese game shows, like Wipeout, where they try to like fit through the hole or whatever.
Yeah, with the ninja show.
I was at work the other night, and I watched one that's like it's bonsai, fucking whatever, and it's people like doing like belly flops and shit off slides, and I was like, "This is a fucking game show!" Like,
Well, I have an easy explanation for that. Because of COVID, that is easy to manage. And even before COVID, that is very cheap versus paying for all these sets and all these writers and all these actors and stuff like that. A game show is fucking the host. You pay the if you have guest celebrities, you pay them a little stipend, whatever. Like it's peanuts. So
a sound stage and a laugh track.
yeah, I mean it's that simple. Like what I don't understand is these shows like The Masked Singer. Like I don't even know what the fuck that's about. It came on at the end of the football game, and I'm just like, people really watch this shit? Like, what the fuck is this? I'm clueless. I have no idea what The Masked Singer is about. It looks ridiculous.
So
The concept looks ridiculous. I'm out. I haven't even watched like half an episode.
well, I mean, then now they got like, so they got Dancing with the Stars. Tyra Banks is like the host of, which she replaced the American Funniest Videos guy.
Really?
And like Carol Baskins is on there.
I don't even know who that is.
You don't know who Carol Baskins is?
No.
Tiger King killed her husband.
Yeah, I never watched that. I never watched it because it got so much hype, and I was just I just knew I would be disappointed if I watched it. So I just said,
I mean, it was it's a train wreck. But yeah, Carol Baskins was one of the characters on the show, and now apparently she's on Dancing with the Stars. And if you get a chance to watch the video of her dance, it's actually in itself it is worth like every bit of the 3 minutes of video. Like
something tells me you don't like her.
Her thing is like she's an animal advocate who kind of manipulates her advocacy to make a profit, and she says that she supports tigers and da da da, but then she does the same thing that she attacks other like petting zoo owners for.
All right, we'll save that for we'll save that for the biography of Carol Baskins podcast. But since we're talking about TV shows and we've discussed it on previous episodes, like how we both rewatched The Sopranos, I was hoping that the next time that I saw the ending, I would understand it a little bit more and it would make more sense to me and it would just be more gratifying and better. Now, when Phil got clipped, it was fucking awesome. It was that still as disappointing of an ending for me the second time around. I don't know how you feel about it, but I don't think I had any more understanding. And I think I felt like it sucked as much as the first time I saw that last episode.
Yeah, I mean, they left the door open. You don't know if Tony got clipped. You don't know if like he didn't get clipped. They just left it wide open. They didn't even leave room to speculate that this is what happened.
Well, if I'm being honest, I think they did that on purpose because I think they left the door open for either the movie like they talked about, or to bring the series back, years later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was just so unfulfilling. It wasn't as unfulfilling as the end of Game of Thrones, but it still kind of sucked. You know, whatever, just my opinion. But getting back to the game shows, so I agree with you. There are more of them. I mean, you have the classics that are still there, that have been around forever, like Jeopardy and Family Feud and Wheel of Fortune, and people still watch them. Our grandmother watches it like every day. Um, Maybe not the Family Feud, but the other stuff. And so those aren't going anywhere. They're just like if you get the right formula, if you get a good following, that shit will last forever. I mean, The Price is Right is still on in the daytime, so you know it.
Well, then Wayne Brady runs. Wayne
Yeah,
Brady does the other one. What's the
dealer, no, whatever it is. So the one where they wear costumes.
Let's Make a Deal.
Yeah, so
Let's Make a Deal.
Exactly. So they brought that was actually refurbished because that was from back in the day. But so I understand why they're doing those. But these fucking judge shows, holy shit, dude. If at some point in the afternoon, you remember there was this wave of talk shows when Jerry Springer and Jenny Jones and Maury Povich, and it was just like tons of talk shows on during the day. Fucking Ricky Lake, and it was just like you couldn't get away from them. Now it's just fucking judge shows, just these ridiculous judge shows that don't even make any sense. Like there's one where there's 3 judges, and each one gives their opinion. There's another one that's for like relationships. So they investigate. That's a guy. I don't know if they're husband and wife, but there's a guy, a judge and chick judge. Jerry Springer's a fucking judge now. Jerry Springer has a judge show. The same Jerry Springer who once had people on his show puking in other people's mouths because that was their fetish. This Jerry Springer has a show where he's a fucking judge. And you got the old school ones. You got the assholes. You Joe Brown, right? I think that's the name.
Judge Milian.
She's not as much of an asshole as like what's his name? Mathis. Mathis is a cocksucker. And obviously Judge Judy. I don't know why anybody would go on Judge Judy. Judge Judy is a fucking cunt. She doesn't even let you speak. It's fucking unbelievable the shit you have to take from her. And and I know why they go on these shows, because I actually have a quick story. I used to work with this dude when I was doing security, and he worked at the gate at the booth, the security booth. And so when the guy relieving you came in, a lot of times he would just go to the gate and you go home. So supposedly this dude left his shoes in the booth, and the guy that relieved him claimed that they stunk or whatever and threw them out. So this guy, he's such a little cocksucker. He, out of spite, took him to small claims court because he didn't care about the money. Out of spite, he took him to small claims court just to get him to pay for his shoes. So I guess the producers or whatever from the People's Court found the case, and they reached out to both of them and asked them if they would come to New York to do it. So they went. So they went, and unfortunately for him, they did it started with Judge Milian, and they did like this retro throwback thing where they brought in Judge Wapner, and Wapner has way past his best fastball. Like he was just, he was worse than Joe Biden at this point. Like he was just like up there, just horrible. So the dude couldn't even really plead his case, and he still won. but it was like $50 or something. So he went through all of this just to win like $50. And what they do is, and he told me this, is to get people to come on, they'll pay the damages because they only go up to $5,000. And so even if you lose, you don't care because you're not going to end up paying the damages. So that's how they get these people to come on these shows, other than, a free train ride to New York or wherever the hell they're recording it. But that's what a lot of them do. So that's why you see a lot of these people don't even really give a fuck because they're like, whatever, it's paid anyways. But going down the list, so we've already named like 6 of them. There's the guy from Providence, Caught in Providence. You ever see that one? Well, the guy's actually a likable guy.
I like that guy.
Yeah.
There's also the gay one.
Which one is that?
It's the gay black judge. I can't think of what his name is.
I've never seen him.
But then
think back. There was even other ones. There was Judge Maybelline. There was another skinnier black lady that had one of these shows. I can't remember her name. But there's just a million of them. And it's just like,
what was her name? I know you're talking about. She did a lot of like the fraternity chess and shit like that.
And she wasn't a bitch like Judge Judy. My God, like, and I can't believe how much she makes. She makes a ridiculous amount of money, ridiculous, just for going on the show and just being a complete asshole to people.
Well, I mean, I think the big thing is like they pay you, like the show pays you an appearance fee, so you get, each person gets up to $5,000 or whatever, and then if you lose, they take your whatever you lose and give it to the other person as your appearance fee is reduced by that amount, whatever.
I don't even think they make that, dude, because the dude that I talked to, he told me they just paid for the trip. So a lot of people just take it as a free trip to New York or, like I said, wherever they're taping, and they don't have to worry about if they win or lose. So maybe some of them do give you a little money, and plus you can negotiate with them. So when they call you about your case, you can be like, yeah, I'll do it, but what am I getting out of it? You know what I mean? And maybe they'll kick you in some loot. Like the smart ones probably do that. But
especially if you have a case like that, it's kind of funny and
yeah,
interesting.
Yeah. So but yeah, man, it goes back to what we talked about, like in episode 1, the lack of creativity, whatever. That's why I can't wait. Can't wait for the Mandalorian to come back next month. Love me the Mandalorian. Have you watched the Mandalorian?
Yeah.
It was a refreshing, it was awesome because Star Wars has gone so far off track. And when you start reading the comments about what happened with these last 3 movies, you see that the woman in charge, and not just her, but the hiring of different directors and all of this shit, they had no clue which way they were going to go. They didn't know if Rey was going to be a Palpatine until she became a Palpatine. Like the storyline was maybe she was going to be a Kenobi, and maybe they were all over the place with it, and they just fucked everything up. They fucked the whole Star Wars franchise up, and that's why it's nice to see John, what's his name, Favreau, him doing it right, him taking care of the Mandalorian the right way.
I don't know. Like, I didn't think they shit on the last 3 movies of Star Wars. I thought the director who took over for the Last Jedi, I thought that he took it in a direction that kind of pissed people off.
Dude, they made Luke Skywalker a pussy. Luke fucking Skywalker, who, when he became a Jedi, was a fucking badass. Okay, cocky, like ready to fuck shit up. Went right into Jabba the Hutt's fucking his own fucking hood. Went into his home, killed his fucking monster pet, and fucked shit up with all
I
the
mean,
confidence in the world. They made him into a pussy.
the one thing that I thought was like where they fucked up was like when they made Leia like able to navigate and float through space.
Yeah, I mean, that was stupid too. But there was so many missteps, dude.
I mean, there was never any question that she was force sensitive. I think they established that in the early movies. Um, Obviously, she's Luke's twin, so that would be.
You're not gonna your defense of the last three Star Wars movies is not gonna fly the same way that your defense for Missy Elliott didn't fly. It's just not gonna
No,
work.
because here's the thing. I thought the ending was so good, how they tied up all the pieces.
But did they really?
So she returns to Tatooine to bury
I saw the
the
movie. I saw what
lightsabers,
happened.
and and a lot of people see the two twin suns as a sunset, but it's not a sunset. It's actually the sun rising. Like it's the beginning of her journey.
By the way, have you ever since we're talking about Star Wars, fuck it, and this is like extra bonus content. Have you ever seen the Jar Jar Binks Sith theory that originally George Lucas was crafting him to be a Sith Lord, and that all his little stumbling, bumbling antics was part of his actual, his part of his game, and then in the end he was going to be like this fucking beast, like Sith Lord. Which there's like, I think there's like a YouTube about it, and that would have been awesome, dude. If Lucas really wanted to do that, and he backed off just because of pressure from I don't think it was Disney, maybe it was Disney back then. I don't know, whatever. From whoever was running things, then he's a fucking pussy, because Jar Jar Binks is a Sith Lord, and the way they make him, like with the red eyes and everything, he looks fucking ill, dude. Like they should have done that. They should have done that.
The turn of Jar Jar Binks where he's so stupid and stumbly, and then really it's just all a play.
Yes. It's like straight from the WWE. Fucking heel turn like a motherfucker. I don't know. Just my thoughts. You got anything else?
Nah.
All right. Well, I guess we'll catch you guys next week unless somebody gets sick again.
I will say I don't have the vid. Ugh.
Yes. Thank God for that.
So look, I will tell you guys that I had a scare. I had to
Oh,
get
here we
tested.
go. Feel sorry for me. Give
Luckily,
me
no, look,
suck my balls.
look, I don't need any of that. I will say this though, like, I did have a scare. I did have to get tested. It does suck. Um,
Oh, boo-hoo. I had a fucking Q-tip up my nose.
Look, the worst part is the first test I had to do. I had to put the Q-tip up my nose myself. Like you go to CVS, you pull up to the drive-through, and they hand you this kit, and they're like, "All right, shove this thing into your brain, swab it, turn it, swab the other one, do the same thing, you know, the whole nine." And then the next day, of course, that wasn't a rapid test.
What if just to fuck with them, you stuck it up your ass and you sent that in just to fuck with people?
It was awkward because they had me pulled to the drive-through, and the girl's in the window actually watching you do it. She's giving you like the steps. So she gives you the step by step. So for you to like lift your ass cheeks up, show this thing of your ass.
Hold on 1 second.
You said 15 seconds rotation.
Look, a squirrel. Oh, she takes the swab. She's like, "Ooh, what the fuck?"
So once you have the kit, it never goes back in their possession. You seal the kit, you put it in, like they have you wipe down the edge of it, and then you put it in a lockbox, like you put it down in a sample box or whatever, and you have to wipe the lid down or whatever. But unfortunately for me, like the results weren't going to be back rapid enough for me to return to work or to figure out what I was doing with work or if I had exposed anyone at work, because that's a big concern. So I had to go get a rapid test the very next day, which for me, like that shit's crazy because you go in, you make an appointment for this rapid test, they call you in, you get your rapid test, and
They stick it up your ass.
So they stick it up your nose, they give you the test. Well, then they send you on your way. 45 minutes later, they message you and they're like, "All right, well, you're negative. You don't have the vid." But they don't diagnose like what's wrong with you. So like you're feeling bad, you're under the weather. They're like, "Well, just make another appointment and come in, and then we'll diagnose you." So I'm like, "So you're not gonna do anything?" Like,
dude, that is every government office everywhere. We don't do that here. You're going to have to go down to the 3rd floor and take a left down by the water fountain, and you'll see.
This isn't a government office. This is a doctor's office. So like,
no, I understand.
I go to this primary urgent care, and I'm just like blown because I'm like, yo, like, so you're not going to treat me. Now you're telling me I'm negative for this virus, and now you will allow me to make an appointment to come to your office and actually get diagnosed with what's wrong with me. That's cool.
Like, this is strictly COVID, bitch. Keep it moving.
So now I'm on the hook.
You got other symptoms? Take that shit over there.
So yeah, so now I'm on the hook for another doctor's visit, another copay, and yeah,
that's the system for you.
But I'm better.
Yeah, I can see you. I probably coughed more than you tonight. All right. Well, I guess we'll catch you guys next week. Later.